I
timing.
know, right? Sorry. I'm just like a monkey see, monkey do situation.
MC, Uriah, you got to keep that intro. Okay. That's part of the intro.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sober Superstars. Today I have Rachel, who is now the host of the Pussy Project
That's right.
podcast. Guys, you're gonna want to watch that. Well, women too, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's a
probably more for women.
well, yeah.
But now she's celebrating 20 years sober, guys, from mainly alcohol, but pretty much the whole gamut of it, right?
All the things. That's right. I was, whatever was there. Yeah.
Whatever was there, but celebrating 20 years sober. And we all know how powerful that is, especially for the people out there that are still struggling with addiction today. So let's just dive right into it. Do me a favor, just so people can actually relate to you. Talk about how bad it got for you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I want to just say about the Pussy Project, it is about the project of having a pussy. That is so it's an equal opportunity podcast for everyone. Um, when I got sober, um I had my behavior had gotten so out of control that I remember thinking towards the end of my drinking, like, I hope that when I get married, I can remain faithful at my wedding reception. Like, not like I was just gonna fuck some guy at the wedding reception, but I did have a tendency to wanna make out with someone or whatever at that time in my life. Yeah, it was just not my behavior was not real classy, Bernard, I would say at that time. But,
Gotcha.
some other things that were going on, aside that's just an anecdote. By the way, I did get married and all good, later after I got sober, but,
Cool. So we are not doing any of that nonsense.
that's
No, no,
right.
no.
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
no. We're
Good.
good. We're
You did
good.
not make out with anybody at the reception.
No, I did
Okay, good.
not. I did
Just
not.
your husband.
Just my husband.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
that's
That's a
right.
good
Yeah.
thing.
As it should be. That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, and anyway, I maybe shouldn't have even led with that, but just
Hey.
to let you know, those are the kinds of thoughts I was having, like, oh shit, where's my life going? This is not what I envisioned as a little girl, right? Is my
Mm.
being this away where I couldn't go to the weekend without taking a drink. Um, so I was drinking every single day. For me, towards the end, I was doing drugs. I was doing primarily speed, methamphetamines, but also cocaine, crack cocaine for a while there. Um, what happened? The speed, I feel like it really sped things up, pun fully intended, to get sober because I tried to clean up from that several times. But I couldn't stay clean because I was drinking. And so I think if I could have stayed clean and continued to drink, I might have, I might still be drinking today. I don't know. I would hope not. But um anyway, so the speed towards the end, it really I'm going to pause and just say that all throughout my drinking, I was generally a pretty, like, honest person. Like, I had a lot of friends who would lie about, why they're late to work or what's going on. I built my life in such a way that I had a lot of flexibility. I didn't have to do that. I could just show up when I was going to show up, etc. Um, in other words, I'm just not much of a liar, even then. But the speed, I was so ashamed and so embarrassed that it turned me into a liar, and I did
Wow.
not like that, right? I lied to my parents about it, I lied to other people about it, I didn't want that to be who I was.
Wait, you're trying to tell me speed wasn't socially accepted?
I know.
Just
Well, I mean, I did. I know.
like the drinking
I
though,
know.
right? Like, I mean,
Right.
you were able to drink in front of everybody. It wasn't something that needed to be a secret or
Right.
anything like
Well, it
that.
couldn't be.
Right. It was right
At the
there out
level
in
I
the
was
open.
doing it, yeah.
Yeah, and out on parties, etc. But
Right,
again,
right. Yeah,
it didn't need to be hidden. And then all of a sudden you get into this situation
yeah.
that deals with speed. You can't be telling anybody about doing speed.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's too mortifying, yeah.
so it pretty much put a fast forward on you sobering up.
Yeah, yeah, so I tried to like I said, I tried to get clean from the speed a few times, and drink, and I just always went back to the drugs. So, because it lowers your inhibitions, etcetera, and let's make no mistake, I am a terrible drunk, falling down, piss your pants, make out with your husband kinda drunk. I'm just a, so I don't wanna mince words here. The speed and the drugs, helped me get to the bottom that I needed to get to so that I could get sober.
Oh, so it actually sped up hitting rock bottom.
It sped up the process, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And just to list a few things also that were going on, I hadn't filed my taxes in a few years. I was not employable at the end. I couldn't show up on time. I even in this world I said I created where I could be flexible, I did my best with that, but that only goes so far. I remember I went to counseling at one point, kind of towards the end of a few years, maybe before I got sober. And I was very sure there was something very, very wrong with me. You could probably relate to that.
Mhm.
When you're just like, what is going on? Like other people are doing life and I can't seem to figure that out. So anyway, so I went to some counseling and I remember telling the counselor that I wanted to drink. She asked me, like, what would controlled drinking look like? I wanted to drink 8 drinks 4 times a week.
Wait, your controlled drinking
Yeah,
concept was, "Let's just do 8 and only 4 times a week."
4 times a week.
Not 7
Hey,
days.
listen, if I could do that, I'd be drinking one of those 8 drinks right now.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't. So
There's
so
people out there that are like, "If I could just do 1 drink," but obviously they can't even stop there
yeah.
neither.
No, no.
So,
Well, I learned, in sobriety that it's the first drink that gets you drunk.
yep.
I always thought it was somewhere between 8 and 20, right? Or something. Like, there was a magic number in there. I was always trying to not reach it or whatever, and anyway. I mean, I wanted to get drunk. I was out there to get drunk, but, I didn't know it was the first one until I stopped.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So it's
anyway,
the
does that answer
first
your
one.
question?
Yeah,
Hadn't
no,
filed my
that's
taxes, unemployable. Yeah, I couldn't make it to the weekend, without drinking. I was drinking every single day. I mean, really, there was very few days that I didn't drink.
so
Yeah.
what was the big magical turning point? Was it some big catastrophe or was it just a decision that needed to be made? How did that turning point that actually, that decision that was like, "I'm done here," come to be?
Yeah. I it's a great question. I was dating a man towards the end. That man's my husband today,
Oh, wow.
incidentally. And we were drinking buddies. We met, we were drinking buddies. I had cleaned up a little bit from the speed, like when I first, when I met him. And then I started doing it again. And so I was lying to him about it. I was sneaking
Mm.
around. So that was really mortifying to me. Um, and, but I went to the doctor. This is like what happened, I feel like the big turning point day. I went to the doctor, I had a doctor's appointment in the morning at like 9 in the morning. It was at the hospital on post, and I remember being there. I had been up all night. It was 9 in the morning. I had already drank several beers that day. I don't know how many.
At 9 in the morning?
3, yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
wonderful.
And so I was there in the doctor's office, and I remember sitting there thinking, um, I remember feeling really hollow. Hollow's not even right. The way I describe it is feeling see-through. Like, I remember sitting there thinking, like, I wonder if people can tell. Just people walking around, just here, if they can tell that there's something so wrong with me, you
Mm.
know? And it was just like one more time there I was trying to do life, trying to pretend like I wasn't drinking every day, trying to pretend like I wasn't using drugs, trying to pretend like I had some semblance of a future in front of me, but knowing deep down that that was not true and wondering if people could tell, right? So anyway, I go to the doctor and it was not a great doctor's visit, but I remember telling the truth about my drinking and my drug use
To the doctor,
to the doctor. Yeah.
not the boyfriend hubby yet.
No, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah. Um,
Obviously, he
I mean,
knows.
he knew. Yeah, I mean, we were drinking together. I don't know what he knew about the drugs, but I'm sure he knew or had a clue. Um, anyway, I was there. I told the doctor, and I remember she said, "Well, do you want to quit?" And I remember thinking, "Well, yeah." Like
Duh.
like, duh, right?
Of
Like, don't you
course.
think I've thought of that? And I was like, "But I can't."
Mhm.
And she sent me to the chaplain in the hospital. Um, and I remember talking to him. He gave me like a one day at a time chip. I think he gave me like a brochure of meetings at the, in the area. And I had met this woman a few weeks before on a road trip my boyfriend and I took. It was our fifth date. We took a 6-week road trip. Or maybe it
Oh.
was our sixth date and a 5-week road trip, but I think it was the first thing. Anyway, um, and we met this woman in Kentucky where we had like 4 going away parties in Kentucky. We got holed up in Kentucky for a while. Anyway, this one was awesome. Her daddy was the Pentecostal preacher in town. We were there over Easter weekend. I like went to their church for Easter. I went to Easter lunch afterwards, super hungover, and we just really bonded. And I had kept in touch with her. And so I went to see the chaplain, and then after that visit, I was sitting in the waiting room waiting for a prescription, and I called her. And I was like really afraid, when it's just like really present that your life is not like it's not going to get better. There was no
Hmm.
hope,
Yeah.
there was no like making a decision and turning it around. I knew for sure I couldn't do anything different. And anyway, I called her and she prayed for me on the phone right that day, right then. And it was a very powerful prayer. And I was crying and it was just a really, heavy moment. And I remember leaving that doctor's office and thinking to myself, I really can't mess around with this anymore. I have to only drink on the weekends, like for real.
I can't mess around anymore. Just
Just
weekends.
weekends
Just
only
weekends.
from how this is real deal,
Right.
And so I don't know what day of the week that was, but I can promise you I didn't make it to the weekend that week. Just like every other time I had made that decision or decided that. And so a couple days later, I was drunk. It was the middle of the night. We were having a discussion, my boyfriend and I. And it wasn't exactly a fight, but it wasn't exactly a calm conversation. It was like a heated, I was drunk. I don't even remember really what we were talking about. But he said out of nowhere, "You need to call your mama." And then he called her. It was like 3 in the morning. And he
Wait, he
called
called your mom for
he
you?
called
Oh.
yeah, he called. She's from
Ooh.
Alabama. He's like, "You need to call your mama." So he called her. I talked to her and she said, Rachel, are you ready to go to detox?" And I remember thinking in my mind, no, but what came out of my mouth was yes. She immediately called my dad. My dad had gotten sober about 18 months before. He was sober my whole childhood and then drank again after 20 years. Let that be a lesson to all of you. It's no one's immune from this. Like time doesn't give you some sort of a, you know, red carpet
Right.
situation on the drinking. But anyway, he had gotten sober about 18 months before. He came to get me. He poured me my last drink. I remember sitting on the couch next to him, um, drunk and asking him, "Do you think I can do it too, Dad?" Knowing for sure that I couldn't, right?
Mm.
Just knowing for sure. And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely," and he poured me a drink trying to keep me drunk enough to be complicit to go to the detox,
Right.
right? So,
That's crazy, the things that dads do
yeah,
for this transition.
yeah.
I've
And
I've got some stories for that one. Oh my gosh, my dad was my lifesaver. But go on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so my dad was there. It was like, I don't know when I got sober exactly, but it was, I don't know if it was when Andrea prayed with me on the phone or if it was when my dad said yes and poured me that last shot or if it was when we went to the hospital cuz they didn't have a bed in detox so they sent us to the hospital to just I don't know buy some time before detox was open and my mom met us there and I remember my parents and I sat in the hospital and held hands and prayed. It was like dawn, you know, and, um, something happened, some kind of miracle happened, and I went to detox and I just knew that it was gonna be different, and I wanted to give it a shot. My dad said, "Just give it a shot, try it for 30 days." And, I remember thinking, "What would 30 days look like in the mirror?" I have no idea. I have no idea what that would feel like in my body. I have no idea what that would look like
Mhm.
in a mirror, right? And so I thought, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just give it 30 days." And it was very shortly, um, into that 30 days that I realized that I can't go 30 days. I've never been able to go 30 days without a drink. And so I just started doing it one day at a time instead.
Nice. And that was the last.
That was it.
That
Yeah.
was it.
That was,
So you
yes.
have had freedom since then. Now, you still
Yes.
battle it or no? Are you free from it? Where are you?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm free from it. I don't think about it. Now, there are times when I want to escape my life,
Right.
right? Like, I'm not
Mhm.
free from being a human being.
But
Um,
that's just not one of the options.
that's right. I'm not battling a drink. If I were battling a drink, I would lose that battle.
Yeah.
There's no way. So a miracle occurred for me, and the obsession to drink was lifted.
Mm.
It was not something I did. I couldn't do it. I would have. I tried and tried, you know. I actually got sober one other time, which we maybe don't have time for today, but as a teenager, I had a miracle occur then too. And so then when that faded and I spent all this time drinking and using, wishing many, many times, wishing for the desire to stop, to last long enough to get the stopping done,
Mhm.
you know? Because, like, yeah, we all want to stop, but then then we change our mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you did that.
Well, for me, the biggest thing was my withdrawals were insane. I mean,
Mm,
I was 14 years deep into crystal meth and cocaine. So
yeah,
I was heavy, heavy into it. And I'm talking like excessive, excessive usage. I should have died 1,000 times
yeah.
over. It doesn't even make sense one of my life, except for the fact that, my mom loved me through it and fed me through it because the amount that I did was just ungodly. Like I was doing 5 grams of meth a day
Oh my
minimum.
gosh, that's
Yeah.
scary. Yeah, I was no kind of speed freak by
Oh
comparison.
my.
I'm a drunk,
I
really,
was an
but
Yeah, and I was the speed freak. Like literally,
yeah,
that's all I wanted to do. And if I didn't have that, then fine, I'll do cocaine. But no, I was a speed freak
yeah,
all the way through. So my withdrawals were so bad. And that's what really made it so hard for me to quit because let's just say I ran out of drugs right now, right? Like I would crash and fall asleep because I've been up for the last 7, 8, 9,
yeah.
10 days.
Oh my gosh,
So yeah, I mean, it
that's
got
so
to the
scary.
point where I would literally see towel flaps talking to me. I was hallucinating from being up so long and everything. So,
It's a miracle your brain works.
well, there's actually I think
Okay.
it expanded my brain. In all truth and reality, if I wasn't
Yeah.
saved from it, I mean, it expanded my brain to lots of craziness too.
Yeah.
But I think God had a way of honing it in and really allowing me to be able to use it now as a gift, as opposed to,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you've seen the psychosis in people that have been trapped in the drugs or in and out of the drugs for so long. You've
Sure.
seen how it turns into psychosis. The crazy thing is, they are actually experiencing expanded awareness.
Oh, yeah,
The
I believe
problem
sure.
is, if you don't codify it or really get to understand it, it's just going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
So I've been able to codify it, and it's been amazing in this journey. But with that being said, I would go fall asleep and just crash out. 6, 7 days later, when I woke up, I needed those drugs so bad. I mean, I'm talking stomach aches, bloody
Mm,
stools, full blown deep despair, depression of suicidal thoughts, body aches, etc. All the things. And note, I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't take care of myself. No kind of hygiene, no
mhm.
kind of proper eating or anything like that. So all of it just came onto me and it was so bad. The crazy thing is, one hit, all gone.
Mm.
So like the longest
It's
I was
irresistible.
yeah, the longest I was able to last in withdrawals was probably 3 days.
Mhm. That's a long time.
Yeah, that was it. But it was so bad and so painful that after 3 days, I was like, fuck this. I can't do this.
Mhm.
Like, sorry, my language, but just couldn't
Hey.
anymore. So, boom, right back into it. And all it took was one hit. And I was back in the cycle again, up for the next however many days. And I mean, what happened for me was I ended up moving out here because my cousin was a pastor of a small home church, took me in when nobody else would.
Mhm.
Um, and they prayed over me and stuff like that. And I crashed for 6 days. And in the middle of that, they would come over, pray over me. And I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted to sleep. But, I took the prayers. And when I was up by myself, I was like, God, look, I don't even know if you exist. I don't know who you are, what you are. But if you really do, you're going to need to take
Mhm.
this from me. Because if you don't, I'm going back to Jersey and I'm going to off myself. I'm done. I hate this. I can't do this anymore. I
Mhm.
can't keep cycling in this addiction. So I was pretty much at my wit's end. But I told God, I was like, look, if you take this from me, I promise I will surrender my life to you, not knowing what the hell that meant.
Mhm.
No clue what that meant. No clue what promises I was making or what deals I was making, but 6, 7 days in, boom, that day I woke up and the whole room was so bright, I couldn't even see. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, man,
Mm.
something's going on." And then next thing you know, I started shaking and I started feeling it being peeled back from me and out the back of my neck.
Mhm.
And at that point, I knew it was already done. And I knew for a fact, and I've literally been free since.
Mhm.
And that was on October 6th in 2006. And I've been free since.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's,
Yeah.
I'm going on 19 years coming up.
Mhm.
But at that moment in time, there was that whole promise of surrender. So I've been surrendered
Mhm.
ever
Yeah.
since. Now, guys, understand that my surrender to God is not smooth. I battle, I argue, I fight
Right.
back.
Well, you're not
I'm a
perfect.
knucklehead. No, I'm far from. I'm like the complete like stubborn ass, right? Like, and I need to. I talk about it all the time. I need to get baseball batted in the face sometimes. And one of the best things I ever heard is, if you don't listen to God's whisper, you will feel His wrath.
Mhm.
I've felt His wrath many times because, well, I wouldn't listen to His whisper. I didn't even listen to Him yelling at times. And but now it's been a lot better. It's been a lot different. God tells me to do something that's let's go.
Mm.
God tells me, let's go.
Mhm.
I'm in.
Yeah. It's
Eh,
cool how that muscle develops over time.
mhm.
Pain is still just such a great motivator though.
Yeah,
So there are times when even still, I'm sure it's the same for you with long-term sobriety. It's like, I mean, sometimes things have to get really painful. But I am in a place now where I hear the whisper often as well.
that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean
Mhm.
that that's heaven on earth for
Yeah.
me. When
Yeah.
you have that relationship with God where you can hear the whisper.
Mhm.
And it's a constant whisper. It's not I'm praying this morning, hopefully he'll answer me in the next few. No, it's constant prayer for me. Like,
Mhm.
and it's just a whole different way of living that allows me to be as free as possible, to
Mhm.
actually just live.
Yeah.
Not so worried about all the crazy things, or not so worried about these lights
Right. I was
that's
wondering.
definitely was not supposed to do that. It was
I
supposed to
wondered
stay
about that if
red.
that was like
No, 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 no.
no,
That's
it's not.
so that's not
Okay.
supposed to be how it is. None of the other podcasts have that.
You
And
should get on there's probably an app for that. Just
there
saying.
probably is. There probably is.
Well,
Uriah, we're gonna need to check on this. Uriah deals with all of this stuff
okay.
for me.
Yes, Uriah, note. Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
fix this for me and
Mhm.
tell me how the heck to make it not go whip, whip, because that's not what it was supposed to do. But so then, if you were to be able to notch it down to one or two things, what would you say would be the keys to freedom that you were able to discover in this so that you could share that with our listeners?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to just say too, but I will say um the first one is that I followed up that profound spiritual experience I had with rigorous action.
Ooh, rigorous action.
Mhm.
I even like
So
the
I
terms.
so I took action um to support my sobriety. When I mentioned that I had gotten sober another time, I was a teenager. I had a very, very profound experience at that time. It was like a born again experience where I knew for sure the drugs and the alcohol were running my life and that I was not in charge of my life. And I and I just had a moment of clarity and I got sober for 2.5 years. And what I didn't do was support that. So
Ooh,
this miracle of the obsession to drink being removed from me is a gift that I protect with everything I have.
this is good. This is good. Okay,
So
go on.
so that's the first thing. So that of course that rigorous action there's a lot of things in there, right? I followed directions. I did what other people do. I talked to other people in sobriety. I surrounded myself with a community that supported me. I would say the second thing, if I had to nail it down into two things, is that I live my life on a spiritual basis. And what I mean by that is a couple things. But the main thing is that I believe all my problems are spiritual problems today.
Nice.
So
Absolutely
if I
right.
have a spiritual problem, then that means there's a spiritual solution. And if all my problems are spiritual problems, that means that all the solutions are spiritual solutions. Now, like you, that doesn't mean that I go around, in some sort of
Oh,
a Zen,
exactly.
state.
Well, actually, go on, because I'm gonna tie this together for her.
But but then also kind of, right? I mean, I have bad days, but just I have a spiritual foundation in my life that is solid, that I go back to, and my spiritual life has changed over the years. My spiritual practice has changed, meaning what I actually do, right? For many, many years, I had a routine where I woke up in the morning, I got myself a cup of coffee, I sat down, I read spiritual literature, I wrote in a prayer journal, etc. I did that for many, many years. And then something changed, which is I had an abrupt shift in my life, and I let that go. And now I have really focused in the last few years on meditation and connecting with God in a different way. But always in there has been service work, right? The rigorous action, just having that foundation of spirituality, prayer, right?
Yeah. I
So,
actually like the fact that you nailed both of those things down, because that right now is a constant dichotomy for most people that are trying to balance a spiritual walk
mhm,
and action, right? Surrender and victor, like fighting for victory. Like,
mm,
what do I do? What's the balance? And I think it's beautiful, because if you take this spiritual walk and realizing that all your problems are actually rooted in spiritual realms and stuff like
mhm,
that, then you have God that you can lean on. But it does not
mhm.
mean you don't have to take I love that, rigorous action. I've never heard it termed like that,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
absolutely love it.
yeah.
Like, we talk about take action all the time. Actually, that was
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest things I wrote on my board in my coaching session the other day. Take action, right? The
Yes.
things that you think, feel, and believe. I don't care how much you think, feel, and believe it if you don't take action towards what you think, feel, or believe, because then
Mhm.
do you really believe it? Do you really think that?
Well,
Do you
also,
really feel
you
that?
can't wait until you have a thought to take action. Like, you can't wait till you feel like it, or, you know, we like to say we act our way into right thinking. Right? So you
I like that.
take the spiritual action, and the thinking and the feeling will follow. But if people like you and me sit around and wait until we feel like doing service work, or we feel like praying, or we feel like whatevering, right? We might get drunk. I don't know. In the meantime,
So just for everybody out there, there are different ones. I mean, there are 3 aspects to it, and some people lead from each different aspect.
Mhm.
Some people, like in your case, would, especially with something like rigorous action coming out of you,
Mhm.
you are the one that needs to take action to overpower your feelings. Some people actually need to feel into their actions,
Mm.
and it's different for each one. Now, for
Sure.
those people that allow their whole life to be controlled by their feelings, and their feelings unfortunately does not create right action, and you know
Mhm.
what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Those ones, they definitely need to change their state through some work,
Yeah.
some deep work.
Yeah.
And that's where
Well,
coaching, mentoring, and all the different stuff, reading books, personal growth, personal
absolutely, and
development.
that's all action,
Yeah,
right?
that's all
Yeah,
action that needs to
yeah,
take that
but
in.
please let me be clear that I'm not suggesting that we invalidate our feelings
Right.
ever, or don't pay attention to them. My point is that there are times when, you know, it's like, if you want to have self-esteem, do esteemable things,
Oof.
right?
I like
You
that.
can't sit around and, like, just, like, hope for it or something, and we can pray for it, and that's an action, right?
Right.
And so, but you
Follow
get
through.
right, you get it. That's my
Follow
point,
through.
right? It's like, yeah,
And guys, and yeah, definitely do not invalidate feelings.
that's
Feelings
right.
are valid. Um, I was definitely guilty of invalidating feelings. Just ask my wife. She almost wanted
Mhm.
to kill me a couple times because of that. Well, more than a couple times. But
Yeah.
I even had to learn that and understand that, right? Because
Mhm.
me, it always had to be connected to some form of logic for me. And then it's
Mhm.
always had to be finished with, okay, fine, I'll validate it, but take action.
Mm.
I didn't even sit in the validation long enough for me to, you know what I mean? It was always,
Mhm.
let's take action, let's get
Yeah,
it
yeah.
done. Let's, if you ever looked into the Enneagram, I'm a number 3.
Mm,
So it's the achiever, always wanting to achieve, always wanting to do, always
mhm,
wanting results as the option. But there's a time to actually just sit
mm.
in it, feel it, go through it. Again, still action right
Yeah,
after.
I know, right? I
I
know.
just want to go.
I don't know.
Let's just get it
I'm
done.
driven too. I'm
Yeah.
driven, but
Let's just
yeah.
get it done.
Mhm.
So then do me a favor, real quick. Let's switch off a little bit. Tell us about the Pussy Project. Tell us about this podcast, how we could find it, etc.
Okay. Um, well, the podcast, the whole purpose is to talk about our pussies and laugh out loud. And the message behind it is not any sort of, big meaningful thing, although I hope that people will find meaning in it and resonate and that it's relatable, but it's really just simply that having a pussy is a project. There's like a lot of things we're dealing with: menstruation, birth, motherhood, right? Menopause, anyway, all the things. Orgasm, sex is a big part of the pussy project, of course.
Right.
So
And don't make it so taboo to talk about it.
that's right.
Let's just
Let's
talk
just
about
talk
it.
about it. Yeah, let's
That
talk,
way, all the people that have all
yeah.
the questions out there of like, what the heck is, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I hope that people find it relatable and entertaining and, and listen to it and download it and save it and share it with everyone they know.
All of those, every single one.
Well,
Do all
and
of
and
those.
then, yeah,
But how do
as
we
long as we're
find
talking
you?
about
How do
the
we find
action
it?
thing, uh so you find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's The Pussy Project. The logo is a woman riding a tiger with a bright pink background. It's hard to miss. My website is rachelwilsonlive.com. It's
Nice.
RACHEL, and everything else is spelled like it sounds. Yeah,
Sweet.
rachelwilsonlive.com. So you can find me there and find the podcast there and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I think some other places too. I found it actually, I Googled it and found it in some random other, so there's maybe, I don't really know. I'm new to the podcasting thing, but there's like
Nice.
apparently websites that pick up podcasts and put them out there. So
Hey,
yeah.
they want
Yeah, yeah.
content. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. So hey, hopefully they get that.
Sweet, sweet,
Yeah,
sweet,
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. Thanks.
So before we end this off, is there anything else you want to tell the audience? Is there anything else you want to share with them about your journey to sobriety? Any bits of advice, any gold nuggets, anything from your heart
Mm.
that you want to share? And share this one direct.
Um, mm, I would say that, it takes what it takes. I wish there was some just like perfect nugget of wisdom that I could say that could really serve someone who's struggling. I think that the things that really worked for me is that it just got bad enough. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think that if you're struggling, you can have faith that God will provide a solution for you. And I don't know when that will be, but kind of like you were talking about the whisper, the pain when you're an addict or an alcoholic gets so severe that it is like a hammer over your head. And so the unfortunate part is that, at least my experience is that I had to go through that. I had to get to that bottom before I could accept the gift that was there. I don't know that that was overly meaningful.
No, you know what? Any part of your experience, anytime it's authentic and real and you share
Yeah.
it, somebody out there. Somebody. And if just one, who cares? It's
Yeah.
just one. It doesn't matter if it's one, it doesn't matter if it's a
Yeah.
thousand. But if you save one life with this, that's just amazing.
Oh my god, that would be a
Right.
miracle.
And that's the whole
Absolutely.
point of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, I guess I'll say another thing, which is that there is a miracle that occurs when you speak with someone who has had the experience. So if you're suffering, it's important to find your people. Find the people who have been there, who can not everyone gets it. You go to work and tell them like, "Hey, I'm struggling with speed addiction," right? They're like, "What?"
Yeah. Wrong
Yeah,
community.
uh,
Wrong
right,
community to share it
right.
with.
So, and even church, and there's a lot of people who are sober in a lot of different ways, but there are communities that are for a recovery, that are based around peer support, and those generally work because one drunk talking to another, right? We get it on a level that other normie people don't. Um, so I think that's really important. And then I just want to say this, which isn't really about that, but um, I did the thing where I went right into the thing, even though you said not to do that. I
Everybody does it. You're not the only one, promise.
I want to just say so many things, but I would say that 20 years in, my sobriety today is every bit as important to me as it was when I was new. I still take the rigorous action to protect it with everything I have. I believe it is the proper use of my will. And I have a lot more to lose today than I did when I started out.
Yeah. And I love that actually.
Yeah.
Rigorous action to protect whatever it is that's precious in your life.
Mhm.
And obviously, sobriety in this case is precious in your life, guys.
Yeah.
But most of us, like for example, even our own families, we do not take rigorous action to protect our relationships with our families. We don't
Mhm.
take it to protect our relationships with our kids, our friends, our families, etc. If it's precious to you guys, take rigorous action to protect it. That is freaking phenomenal. I'm definitely going to be utilizing that.
Okay.
I'm snatching that from you and putting it in here. Thanks.
It's all
I will be
yours.
utilizing that one. That's actually really good. I love that. And so, guys, anybody out there, if you know anyone that is struggling with addiction today and really just has no clue how to make it out, do me a favor, share this, tag them on this. You never know. One of the guests that I have on here might be able to share something that will completely resonate with them and hopefully be the catalyst to get them on their journey for sobriety. And you celebrating 20 years, me about to celebrate 19, I promise you all the work, all the
Mhm.
effort, all the struggle, all the pain, it's so worth it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
so worth it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better. So
Mhm.
thank you guys. Oh,
I wanna s
go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay,
There's
okay,
no need
thanks.
to end.
I
There's no
just
need to end.
I
Go.
just thought of something because, for me, when I was towards the end, I remember thinking about what it might like to be sober. I don't know if this happened to you, but I just really thought that looked super boring and lame. And I
I've talked about this
Right,
many
and I
times.
did not understand how you could go to the movies without drinking or go out to eat or go bowling or really do anything. I had a purse that I took to the movies that held a 12 pack. I called it my movie purse. And anyway, I have been so pleasantly surprised by the laughter I have found in sobriety and the joy and the absolute fun that I have in
Yes.
my life. My life is full of joy and
Yes.
excitement and adventure,
That's what I'm
and
talking
it's
about.
full and rich in a way that it never, ever could be if I was drinking and using.
Right. That
Yeah.
is fantabulous. They actually, that's a way better ending, guys. So yeah, sobriety is not boring, not
No.
even close. You are free to live, love, laugh in a way that you have no clue is even possible for you. Because I know when I was in addiction, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I had no, like my ceiling on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 4. Now my ceiling is infinite.
Yeah, that's legit.
It's absolutely infinite.
Mhm.
And I probably sit at a 13 most of the time.
Yeah, nice.
So, like
Yeah,
my bad
same.
day is a 9.
Right, right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So, and when you're in
Absolutely.
addiction, your ceiling's a 4. So, if you think it's going to be some boring humdrum,
No.
sadly mistaken. However, there is out there, where people are struggling with sobriety in a way where, you know,
Mhm.
it still is kind of there. Guys, get yourself in a community.
Mm, absolutely.
Get
Yeah.
yourself wrapped up in a
Mhm.
community that's always about improving life, continuing to do so. I
Mhm.
know I'm part of one called the Final Percent, and it is unreal.
Nice.
It is unreal. The things that we do. I mean, we travel all over the country. We speak, we share, we transform lives, we get our lives transformed, we interface with each other at a much higher level, and it just pushes each and every single. We work out together. We just got done with a group workout today. I mean, we
Nice.
do it every Thursdays and Sundays. We do pump and pray Sundays where we hit the gym, then everybody goes to church. Last week a bunch of us got baptized. I mean, it's just
Oh.
phenomenal when you're surrounding yourself with a great community.
Mhm.
It definitely breaks the mundane.
Yes,
Definitely
I
breaks the
agree.
mundane. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
last words?
Mhm.
Last words?
I've said my last words twice now.
Yeah,
So
there you go. And you got Miracle saved twice too.
that's right. Yes,
That's
I did.
wonderful. So
Yes, I'm
she's
grateful.
twice.
I'm grateful. Yeah.
All
I
right,
got lucky.
guys. Thank you so much. Again, share it, share it, share it. Just like she said.
That's right.
What,
Download, share,
what else? Comment.
comment.
Like.
Oh, like.
Add the story.
That's right.
What else?
Buy
Follow.
Follow. There you go. Buy things from our affiliates. Do you have affiliates?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, buy things from my affiliates.
Yeah, buy things from her affiliates.
Yeah.
What affiliates do you have with a pussy project?
Well, I'm working on that
Undies?
portfolio. No, right now I've got a pair, it's called PeriFit. It's a device that strengthens the pelvic floor muscles. And then I've also got affiliate deals with a couple of guests I've had on, which, I could go
Nice.
into that. Yeah.
Hey, so guys,
Yeah.
follow Sober Superstars and follow the Pussy Project. Let's get it.
Let's
Have
go.
a great day, guys.
That's right.
Now we do it. Nothing is impossible.